Greetings, hero fans. This is middle-aged cartoonist here, the good old overgrown cartooning geek and creator of the mighty EnergyGirl. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here in downtown Fairview, Illinois, the fictional version. I have to advise you that what you see behind you is real. We're not really in Fairview, but oh well, we can pretend to be for just a few minutes. I'd like to share a cartooning moment with you this morning because it is such a beautiful morning and I'm feeling pretty good and would like to do a little sketching, and you can come along and join me. Firstly, most of we lesser cartoonists can't afford an expensive studio, at least not until more of you out there start reading our work, so my studio is wherever I happen to be at the time. This is my humble abode that will serve as such in just a minute. As you can see, coffee is nearly ready. So let's have a seat and get to drawing some pictures. Good to get a little light on the subject first. That's better. Okay. Anyhoot, as I mentioned before, this is my current flagship character, the mighty Energy Girl or Energy Woman. You've heard about her before on the internet, and if you haven't missed much, but oh well. I've been a hobby cartoonist for almost 50 years now. I enjoy creating, writing, drawing my own comic books. This is an example of one that came out a couple years ago. Where do these come from? Well, they come from masters. The masters are the original pages the comic books are made from. And this is one of a number of notebooks I have that are just filled with masters. And as with all things created by human beings, it doesn't always work well, but oh well. As you can see, it's going to fight me here. But this whole thing is full of the masters for my comic book stories. Each one of these pages takes roughly 3 hours to create, but since it's 3 hours of fun, hey, who's complaining? You might spend 3 hours to go to a good movie, right? You can do this, and you don't even have to leave your own house. Okay. Where do the masters come from? Now here, we'll stick this in here. They come from the drawing pad, which is what we have right here. Here we have a drawing pad. I suppose due to copyright and trademark restrictions, I shouldn't let you see who made it, but oh well, it's out there. Anyway, this is a cartoon paper I really enjoy. I did this sketch last night. This is just in the black and white phase. A typical page like the ones we saw in here goes through 4 different stages that I'd like to walk through with you in just a minute. It starts out with just a quick pencil sketch. After that, we do a light inking with a very fine tip pen. This entire drawing of Egirl right here is done in light inking, but with a lot of detail put in, as you can see. We then add heavy inking for shadow. You can see the back of her body has cast a shadow under her cape there. I also put a slight halo around her, as you can see here with the heavy inking. This will set her apart from the background when we add the color. And then color is the last step. So let's start with a blank page. I'll get my trusty, very high-tech box of pens here. As you can see, it's basically a tin that was reused because I think a video came in this or something. So extremely high-tech, very expensive. You get an old discarded box nobody wants and you put pens in it. See, very scientific. Cost you very little. Okay. And we just do the very basic body shapes in the pencil, just so I kind of know where I'm going to be going. And I don't know if you can see this, but see just the very basic shapes. The body is like a figure 8 a little bit. Then you have the head and the neck and the arms. A muscular person, such as Egirl, is very muscular. It's very easy to draw because it's a lot of circular shapes. Okay, now we start in on the most important part, which is the face, because that is the seat of expressions, emotions, indeed, the seat of the soul. Now, I'm my own cameraman again today. I'm holding the camera with one hand and drawing with the other, so you'll have to forgive me if it's a bit jerky or bouncy or whatever, but I'm going to do my best here. I like to build my entire face around the nose, so we put the ball of the nose in first, and then the part going up from it is the bridge. There's a ridge that then comes up from the top of the nose and goes up over the eyes, and that's where the eyebrows tend to be. They ride on this ridge, so we'll put those in first. Then the eyes fit up kind of under that. Hope you can see this. So far, so good. Starting to get the hair in now. The neck generally comes down, and then we have what's called the Adam's apple, which is that little round part that kind of bounces up and down when you swallow. Because, by the way, Egirl's street name is Ellen Peabody, and because Ellen's a woman, we'll make her neck a little bit thinner than a man's neck would be. But since Ellen is a very muscular woman, there is a shoulder muscle that kind of rides up and then goes behind the neck. So we won't bring the neck all the way down, so that we can bring that down kind of like that. If Ellen looks a little unclothed at this point, you need to understand that in order to make the muscles of the body look right, we have to kind of draw them as they'd appear without clothes under the body, and then put the clothes on over them later. In a similar way to if you are building a house, you build the door frame before you put the door on it. You have to hang the door on the frame that's already there. You have to build the foundation on something, as the saying goes. So there you can... in a similar way, we want to show the basic muscle shapes as showing right through the skin. So you can see, if I can grab my trusty pencil here, we have a circular shape there and a circular shape there for the shoulders, the two circular shapes for the those two muscles that connect the shoulders to up behind the neck. Now, of course, Ellen being a woman, a lady, we have a certain other two attributes we need to put in very soon, but before we do that, we want to get her rib cage and, not abdomen, her, well, you know, underneath, so that the part that most young men like to look at has to ride on top of that, and in a similar way it has to be hung correctly. So we usually just sketch the rib cage first, so that when we add the rest, it can look more or less correct, like that. Ellen has a very large rib cage. She's very muscular, and in fact, it is said that some of her internal organs have actually moved up from her waist area into the protection of her lower rib cage, which, like I said, gives them additional protection and gives me a kind of fake scientific sounding explanation for why her waist is so narrow. And then we'll come down here with the leg. A male's legs are angular, but for a female we want very gentle shapes. Want to stay away from angles as much as possible, so like that. Now we can start. We've got the basic framework of the body now. We can start hanging the clothes on it. Okay, Ellen's she's old school, so she still wears trunks. There's a certain other hero, in fact, the granddaddy of them all, that has taken a lot of guff because they say he wears his underpants on the outside. Well, you know who I mean. But I grew up on that classic look, and so my hero is the same. And I hate to tell you folks, but my hand is falling asleep right now. So we may have to put this video into 2 halves. I don't know. Okay. All right, everybody, hold your breath. Here we go. And with a hand that is not functioning correctly, falling asleep. That makes this even more difficult. Oh, man. You young people that are aspiring to become cartoonists, you can watch these videos, but please don't wait. Get going, get on board, learn how to do this, establish your characters while you're still young and your physical body works correctly, or you will find that you have your hands falling asleep halfway through making a video someday. And people will say, well, he'd be a pretty good cartoonist if his stupid hands didn't fall asleep. Well, sorry. Not much I can do. I'm an old duff. But anyway, here we go. I like to call that the horse collar. It's a collar of dark red that rides over Ellen's shoulders and down to the very top of her cleavage that will be red against the yellow of the rest of her uniform. So that's what goes in next. Like thus. Now we are ready to put in the famous iconic block letter E. And of course her trunks would be the same red color. We can add a little shading with what they call cross-hatching, which is just like this. The area under her rib cage would be a little bit shaded. Add the okay, my hand is so sleepy now I may drop the camera, so we're going to take a slight break. But here's where we are so far in this drawing of the mighty EnergyGirl. We are about halfway at this point from getting from here to here, and this is about halfway from getting about here to here. Okay, I would hope that's my agent calling with a multi-million-dollar deal, but don't hold your breath. I have a good imagination, but not much customers. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. See you later.